Welcome back, everybody. And today I am here joined by Mikey V. Let me hear you introduce yourself because you'll do it better than I can.
Michael Visenberg. Just here going over what Cyro wants the show to be about. So yeah, I'm here for the ride.
AKA the Anthrometric God, if you're on NBA Twitter or been around NBA draft spaces over the last
I've been
15
called
years.
Mikey Measurements before. But yeah.
Mikey Measurements. That could also be your 1970s adult film star's name.
That could definitely work.
You know, Mike,
place. Yes.
Yeah, Mikey Measurements and the Hardwoods. That was good. Come on the spot, that was good.
My bad.
All right, so today we wanted to specifically talk about, or I want to specifically talk about, and then have Mikey over here ridicule and criticize me for how maybe ostentatious I might be about some of these candidates. But basically, I think a great way to look at players is maybe not through the typical lenses of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, aka point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. Rather, switch bigs, combo forwards, swingmans, wings, combo guards, lead guards.
Can we just call it combo bigs? Because the way that you have it is switch bigs like makes me think more like switchable. You know, like in a pick and roll situation, let's say. Yeah.
I get that. I was trying not. I called switch big because A, I've heard the phrase switch big before, and B, there was.
But isn't that more in the term of like a?
No, but I agree because now there's combo guard and there's combo forward. We might as well call it a combo big because that would go in the same vein as the other one. Yeah. So I agree with you on that one. And right here, I'll cue it up. I just need to put Yannick Conan Niederhauser in there because I forgot to take him out for Mr. Alex Condon. Is it Condon, but with an M, an N instead of an M, basically?
It's Condon, yeah.
Condon.
C-O-N, yeah.
So like condom, but
condom. Oh yeah,
like basically.
Yes.
I feel like not like immature, but almost immature saying his name sometimes.
Yeah.
Either way, what?
The Australians were just like, oh, we might as well just go to the next letter in the alphabet.
Oh yeah, 100%. I just got that. Okay, so let's just cue this up right here. It is the screen share. Now, right here, you'll have the combo bigs that I have, guys who are able to play both the 4 and the 5. That is what I have. As I did in another video, I broke down all the player positions. But right here, I wanted to put guys who I believe are able to play both 4 and 5. Obviously, each guy's probably more natural at one position than the other, or better at one than the other. Same thing going for combo forwards. Next, going for wing swingman, which a swingman I feel like is a little bit of an older term. I think the modern term some people might say is a wing. I don't know if you agree with that. It's usually a guy who's a big 2 guard / a 3. Granted, usually if you play a swingman, you probably only play 1 guard and you play 2 swingmans and then a traditional forward and a big. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey.
I mean, yeah, I would say even with like the quote unquote positionless basketball, you still do probably have at least a couple wings out there. And I know a lot of people kind of see wings as many of them see them as interchangeable. But yeah, like, you know, just
the Klay Thompsons, the Karis LeVerts are all, I would say, swingmans in my eyes.
You can play 2 or 3. Yeah, exactly.
Tim Hardaway Jr.'s.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, you know, you'd rather play him. I would say due to size constraint, like rather play him usually at the 2. But
100%. But we're saying the whole thing is the interchangeability.
They're going to probably play either position. Yeah.
That's why, like, I used to have Trey Johnson as a swingman, but I was like, you're probably going to play him so seldomly at the 3 if it's really a very small lineup.
He's a scoring guard.
Yeah, but he has the size, height in.
Yeah. Like, you know, like, measurements wise, he's at least he can, you know, kind of be out there. At the 3. Yeah.
So with that being said, you'll see some guys that are crossed out. I'll have Mikey debate me who to fill in on those spaces, as I made this during the combine week. And we go down all the way to floor generals, perimeter defenders, rim protectors. Some of them will be figured out as beforehand because I feel like they kind of overlap with others. But It's just a way to look at, I think, if you break down players instead of tiers, because I think, again, if you rank players by tiers and positions, you kind of put everybody into a box, and I feel like everybody is maybe like has an archetype, if that makes sense.
Could you zoom in a little bit more on like the names, like
Yep.
up to the name position category rather than the notes? Yeah. That's a lot better. Yeah, just highlight
Which
the
one?
guys.
That one or less?
No, a little less. Yeah.
That one's perfect. Okay.
Great. That's
Okay.
great.
Bet.
Yeah.
Bet. So
Just see it that much more easily.
So right here, I think I put together all the lists for the most part have a little bit of an order already, but they should be somewhat almost ubiquitous or able to move around. Right here, we'll start off with combo bigs, guys who might be either a natural 4 or a natural 5, but can play either position. I have right now Derek Queen as 1, Thomas Sorber is 2, 3, Asa Newell, right?
Asa
Newell, Jean Berenger, Jean Berenger, Danny Wolf, Buglajub, Markovic, Ethan Almanza, Janai Broom, Maxime Renault, Yannick Conan Niederhauser. So to me, I think the top 3 might be kind of obvious, and that would be Queen 1, Newell 2, and Wolf 3.
Oh, so you don't even think Sorber?
So I think Sorber.
I thought you kind of had that in order of Sorber. No, yeah.
So that's kind of how I had it here. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I think the way I have it set is the top 3 already. The one other option.
I want to also note that like these are going to be your rankings, right?
Yeah, these are my rankings, but so let me rephrase that. And what I was going to say is currently I have it pretty close to what I would want. I think if I were to change something around, I am higher on Buglajub, but I do believe Sorber and Queen are the top 2 bigs in terms of just right now talent. I think Newell has the potential to be, potentially just as good, maybe even better than both of them because of his athleticism, his length, and his ability to guard inside and out. I think he could really be the best defender out of them. I think Jean is the wild card who's also athletic enough to.
Can I just ask why you think like Jean's not like kind of more allocated to just being a center? Like, do you think it's just defensively that he's able to guard either position? Like, my concerns for him seem to be offensively, and where it just seems like he's kind of a rim runner, lob catcher. So I don't know about like playing a 2 big lineup with a Jean Berenger.
So with Jean Berenger, my whole thing, Jean Berenger. I think when you look at him, you're hoping that he's gonna be in the Onyeka Okongwu, Bam Adebayo, and I think putting Bam Adebayo in that whole space is.
But those guys are mostly bigs.
Yes, but can we both agree that coming out,
Bam, you can play with somebody else just because he's can initiate some offense.
And but Bam did play next to, I think his last year, Hassan's last year. I think he was with Bam. Bam has played with.
He has, yeah. But because he can initiate offense.
Yes. And I think Jean has shown.
I think he's been most ideal as a center.
I think I agree that he is floor-wise. He's a rim-running athletic guy who's going to run the floor and going to just be a lob threat, just finish everything in either the dunker spot, put back, and anything in a 5-foot radius. The ceiling, the hope is, and that was the same thing with Onyeka Okongwu, was that they were going to be able to develop into similar, not only defenders which I think Berenger as a defender can be a similar one to Okongwu, and which again, Okongwu's whole thing was being baby Bam, which we know how that ended up developing. But I think Berenger's also bigger than Onyeka, but maybe not as muscular as Bam is. And the whole idea is, as a defender, I think he definitely
he's as talented of like offensive player as either of those guys. So that's just.
I think he's definitely closer to Onyeka than I think Bam's in a whole other realm. Just as someone who's seen and talked as a guy who covers the Heat, Bam's passing ability out at the DHOs, his ability to read the floor and be kind of this pivot center is
his ball skills make it so you could play him at either.
Yes. Yeah. I think Berger, why I have him as a combo big, is the belief is if you play him with a stretch big, for example, if he was drafted by Indiana, there could be an idea you playing with Miles Turner. And that's because Miles Turner would be the traditional drop big, and then you would put John on the fours because he's athletic enough to guard maybe some threes.
But then what is he doing? And I guess you're saying that he is.
Then on offense, he's
in the dunker spot and Miles is kind of floating.
Yes, exactly.
That's so team specific. Like that's the whole thing.
100%. That's why he's lower on the thing, and I would not be inclined to put maybe a guy like Bugalajiv Markovic above him, because I think Markovic actually would be able to be more of a dynamic combo big who can be more impactful as a weak side rim protector and as a floor spacer, or even just as a guy who can, run the pick and roll as a roll big and then either finish out the short roll or just, pass if you see something available.
In terms of it, so I think the top three are fine.
Wolf's four.
Berenger and Danny Wolf is like a really interesting debate there, just because Danny can do a lot of those things offensively.
Defense.
And then you worry about his defense. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like where you want to sacrifice.
Also, the other thing is, not to cut you off, before you go, I want you to include this. Per Synergy, Danny Wolf is like one of the worst long rebounders, especially on, I believe it is on the offensive side. Like for a guy who also plays on the perimeter offensively, he doesn't really grab many offensive rebounds, nor does he do a good job of chasing down long rebounds. And that's kind of due to him not being the fastest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts there?
And then he was but the one thing I will say is that he played next to a legit big this year. And, I wonder if that him not playing the 5 possibly affected that, but I'm sure there are like legitimate issues there that could translate to the NBA.
He didn't test well either.
Yeah. I like athletically, he's lacking some there, but the fact that his hand-eye coordination, his ball skills, his passing, like those are kind of the upside swings with him. The fact that he made TJ Bamba look ridiculous in that one play versus Oregon that went viral. Yeah. Oh, so you're moving down to Ethan already? That was going to be my next thing. I was like, why is Ethan ahead of those guys? But yeah. So yeah, okay. So you probably. So are you not like a Jan Berenger like lottery kind of guy?
I think I was really on the Jean train beginning of the year. Really loved the athleticism. Thought he was a guy who runs the floor great out of Markovic, Wolf, Sorber, and Queen. He's probably the most athletic in terms of just like pure specimen profile, if that makes sense. Now, what do I worry is what we've talked about this. He's got decent hands. I'm not going to sit here and be like he's got, wide receiver mitts out there, but he catches everything most of the time with 2 hands. He does a good job of getting up and just finishing. But I worry the offensive game will not expand outside of being a Jared Allen, a Mitchell Robinson, a Daniel Gafford type rim running, rebounding, shot.
I mean, that would be like super ideal for him.
Oh, no, that's what you want. Yeah, exactly. That's what you want. Yeah. That's what you want. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but he is really young.
And how long does it take for him to be like a guy you can play minutes and get like winning contributions from?
I think depends when they run him out there in summer league and preseason, if people are running him off the line or not, like physically. I think that's the biggest question is if he goes out there. If you guys don't remember, Zachary Sachet said his biggest guy who killed it in the second half of the season. Sachet really ended the year, I think 19 points a game, close to 40% from 3. But he said the biggest thing was he was one of the athletic freaks in Europe, and then he's just another guy in the NBA, and it was just an adjustment period for him to get accustomed to the athleticism. And he said the game was just so fast for him.
But Zach also was like somebody that you could rely upon more for, different aspects of offense. And yeah, I certainly had more of a translatable skill set than
that is why I don't think you take him in the lottery. Is I think he's going to be a little bit greener than you want somebody in the lottery that needs a big needs, because the two teams that need a big in the lottery are either needing a franchise big, or they need a big to be a backup or kind of like a complementary piece off the bench or to their big. And I don't think he fits a lot of those teams right now. Like, I really think ideal landing place is Indiana. He would kill it with Andrew Nembhard, Tyrese Halliburton.
I've loved that for a long time. Give me the case for Bogoljub Markovic over Berenger, which is something that you don't really hear about in mock draft scenarios.
Yeah. So Bogoljub Markovic, I think he's offensively, we both can agree on this, more talented right now than
100%.
John. 100%. He is a pass, dribble, shoot guy. He's going to be a guy who can he's probably because he weighed in at 235, so he's actually bigger than people give him credit, weight wise, and he's 6 foot.
Did he?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I swear. And I think it's 232.
I thought he was much less than that at Hoop Summit, but yeah.
Hoop Summit was 232. Hoop Summit was 232.
Was he really?
Yeah, bro. I was shocked. Because I was going 216 in my head. 216.
Yeah. That's why I thought it.
But him coming at 230, 232. I just rounded up 235 in my mind. He wingspan 6'11", 6'10". A guy who's a small ball 5, I'll admit that. More natural of a 4. I think offensively he's going to be able to really, if we really want to say worst comes to worst, he's going to be a guy kind of like a Mirza Teletovic, who's going to be able to space the floor, rebound at a decent clip on the defensive end. If things work out that he's big enough, he's going to be able to be a guy who can operate some DHOs out the post. He's a guy who can get a rebound on the defensive side and start the fast break himself and be a threat on transition. And defensively, yeah, he's not going to be a drop big. He's not going to be a defensive stalwart that's going to, obviously the Jokic's and the Embiid are going to have the size advantage, but he's athletic enough and moves well enough. I think at the very least, he moves similar, if not better, than Asante Alama, to be a guy who's a 4 who can be the weak side rim protector, who can make, across the paint blocks, especially on guard. He'll be able to guard 3 through 5s. I think maybe some 5s might be bigger than him and some 3s might be quicker than him, but he'll be able to guard most, if not all 4s. And I think the floor and the impact of a Bogoljub Markovic might be more impactful from day one and longer term in terms of what he can scale up to do if everything goes right, as it won't be as much of a positional need fit or a team fit for him, because any team that brings in him can just use him as a floor spacing big who can play both the 4 and 5 in kind of a Trey Lyles way. But if everything pans out, you have a guy who not only can pass, dribble, and shoot and help you in the second unit, but be a complementary player in the starting lineup that is going to minimize his mistakes and just do the little things. And if it really goes all well, he has a scalable game that you can really see if it all tests out the bigger gets. It's really hard to find 6'10" dudes who can pass like he does, dribble like he does, is a decent 3-point shooter and a willing rebounder. He's averaged a double-double basically in the past 2 teams he's played. This year I think he went down to 7, but the year before he was at 9, where he's more of a focal point. But Mega does a good job of developing guys. That's the other thing.
I know it was a single game sample size, but I thought he really struggled defensively at the Hoop Summit. And I think that could just be something that makes it a little difficult to keep him on the floor. He also did measure at 216 at the Hoop Summit 0, so I don't know where the 232 number came from.
Wow.
But yeah, I like in both my measurement sheets that I got from there, he was 216. And does not look like he's 230. Looks very skinny. So yeah, height-wise,
he needs to get
certainly a what?
If he's 216, that's fine for right now. Aldama
Yeah.
came in at 215. You can get to 230 by down. But what were you gonna say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I think physically, like, it'll be a big adjustment, like him guarding either big position, and then I don't think he's quick enough to guard threes. But yeah, that's just my take on what I've seen from him.
Yeah,
but yeah, like, if you're banking on him being like a shoot, dribble, pass guy at that size, yeah, like I see why you envision the upside with him.
And I'm not sitting here saying lottery talent before we go any further. That I want people.
I mean, would you cut off the top 3 as probably being the lottery guys amongst this group? Yeah.
We've talked about Danny Wolf. I love Danny Wolf, and I'm not going to say he's a pussyfoot Ivy Leaguer. Okay, like he's a legit basketball player.
You just said it, but fine. But where did that come from, Cyro?
In one of the books I'm reading, Jack Molinas, when he was in the draft process, Frank Zollner of the Pistons said, "You're just a pussyfoot Ivy Leaguer."
Yeah. When was this?
1953.
Awesome. Yeah. 72 years ago. You're bringing it up now. Cyro's a really 50s guy.
So that's why because I kind of look at Wolf and Markovic both having the same banger and not bang, like same boom, like risk and reward.
Like that's the one thing. Like
they're near 7 foot dudes who can pass, dribble, shoot.
250 something pounds versus 216.
I actually like Markovic better as a defender and rebounder than Wolf. Like, I think he moves better than Wolf, and that's the biggest reason why I have
just their strength is something that tends to matter, especially when you're.
So this is what I was going to say. The trade-off is Wolf defensively might get run off the floor, like actually run off the floor. He might his feet might not be able to keep up, and he'll just be in a mismatch, especially on pick and rolls. While I think Markovic's thing might be bullying. Like, I think he'll be able to move quick enough against 4s and 5s, but I do believe the fear is if he doesn't fill out the frame, an Embiid, a Jokic, a Valanciunas, a Sabonis is just going to put a shoulder and elbow into him and drop step, move him out of the way every single time.
Yeah. Like I don't see him as a 5.
So, but okay, would you then have Berger over Markovic? I just think if we're going off of pure combo bigs, guys who have the potential playing both positions, I think Markovic has the better shot than Berger.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you've made it this position. But yeah, like in terms of draft prospects who like, yeah, that's tough to me. That is tough to me. I probably would have Baron J over him, but just from draftability and like his ability to cover ground on defense and hopefully have something to work with there. But yeah, could be wrong. It's so hard to say. Do you want to move on or?
Just round up the last 4 real quick.
Like Maxime Reynaud is like another guy who like really talented offensive player, and you kind of worry about him defensively in the NBA. But yeah, like he just had a great year at Stanford. He was one of the standouts of the NBA draft combine scrimmages, though. Like you wonder how much stock to put into them, and how that even translates to him being a big at the NBA level. Yannick Conan Niederhauser is another one I think is kind of like interesting in that like I wonder if he's a real combo big. Would you think of playing Janai Broom over him? Like that's another like huge trade-off of a guy who has like more ideal NBA athleticism. He's a rim protector. He has like pretty much close to ideal center size versus a guy who just production wise, Duolingo made a fool of him, let's say, and he didn't jump very well. Though I will say he and Derek Queen had the exact same touch point. And I think he might have had a higher touch point from a running start. But his production at Auburn was awesome. And you just wonder if, that skill set could possibly beat out the athleticism that Yannick Cohen Niederhauser obviously killed at the NBA draft combine. Had a 12'4" touch point, ran really well. Yeah, like certainly a lot of athletic tools to work with, but Janai Broom was arguably the second best player in college basketball this year.
For both guys, I know Yannick Cohen Niederhauser is the lesser three-point shooter of the two, even from a college standpoint. I know both have taken over 100 threes. Cohen Niederhauser's just like...
offensively, I think they're like worlds apart. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Let me just put it this way. Okay. My biggest question with Janai and why I didn't have him higher is foot speed. Like, he is a guy that at the 4, you do get scared that is he just going to get first blown by every time by a first step.
And then he doesn't have ideal center size. Yeah. That's the thing.
I agree with the whole production thing. And I honestly, the more that we talk it through, I just don't think anybody would play Niederhauser at the 4 consistently unless like they had a floor spacing big, like, all right, let's just say in a weird way, like if for some reason,
then he'd be the 5, Cyro. Like that's.
I was about to say, like, because then in this theory, if he was playing on a team with Jokic then would just be the 4 in that sense. Yeah. And it would be because it wouldn't be the same unless you're trying to use him how Khalil Ware is used on the Heat, which I don't see it. I'm looking at him that you're trying to run him like a Derek Lively.
The whole thing with Khalil is his ability to stretch the floor.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Niederhauser's like Derek Lively is what you're looking at, or Daniel Gafford, like rim running, shot blocking.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Derek Lively, you're winning. But yeah.
Oh, you're winning. Yeah. So I'll put him down there, and then Janai Broom. I actually do believe that someone's going to try to play him at the 4 because of his build. He's shot like not this past season, but the year before on 2.5 attempts from 3 at like a decent clip, like a respectable clip. It's college 3. If that translate, it's going to be something. I just think production wise and older, I'm going to bet on Janai Broom. Also, that was a guy who didn't shoot threes to begin with in college and then started shooting threes in college. So, and then if that's how we have it there, Ethan Almanza, I had it there. He's kind of like, he said a poor man's Al Horford. I knew you would hate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor man's David West.
If these are Al's like a Hall of Famer. David West was a multi-time All-Star.
Oh yeah. Also, David West had a 7'5" wingspan.
Yeah.
7'4", 7'4.25.
Oh,
88 inch, 0.25.
Did not remember David
West.
West.
Found that out this morning while Nate Babcock and I were exchanging Twitter messages.
Yeah.
But
David West is he's the 5th best guy from his draft class.
What draft class is that one? 03?
Yeah.
Holy crap, you're right. Yeah, after the top guys.
Yeah, after the top 4. Yeah.
Either way, Ethan Almanza was put in here because after Alex Condon left the draft, I put Ethan Almanza. You're betting on his potential. He's actually a guy who's like a jack of all trades, a master of none. He kind of can defend both 4s and 5s. He's not really a natural shot blocker. He tries at most of the time. He can pass the ball better than most people, but he's not like elite at it. He's a willing 3-point shooter and he has some moves, but it's all potential and it's all the idea, more so the reality, I guess, at this point. Would you agree, Mikey?
Yeah. I mean, his last few stops, yeah, it's been more potential than production for sure.
You're just hoping that you fulfill that potential wherever he goes.
Yeah.
There, Cooper Flag.
I mean, the reason I wanted you to do it beforehand was because now, like, all the description is going to be messed up too.
Oh no, I just missed the
He'll
whole
have,
thing.
he'll have Yaxel Lendeberg's description.
Well, we're so zoomed in, the descriptions don't matter as much.
True enough.
Cropping it.
True enough.
So,
all
right here,
the top two, I think we can both agree on.
Yeah, combo forwards right here.
People may have like Essengay or Murray Boyles ahead of Ace Bailey. Those guys are almost certainly going to go. Well, Cooper Flag is obviously going to go higher, but
Cooper Flag is the best combo forward in this draft. That is self-explanatory. The all-around ace. And then the other ace, the Ace Bailey of this draft class, is the guy people heralded as 6'10", and I'm just saying this because somebody is going to come.
Oh yeah, you can change that, by the way, if you want.
Yeah, no,
you could totally change it
because he's 6'7".
Well, he's 6 foot.
What? You were going to give 6'8"?
6'7.5" in shoes. Yeah.
Okay, so he's 6'8", and look, he's got solid side.
Yeah,
I think he still needs to fill out, but obviously he's the top two. Let's move over to Colin Murray Boyles.
Yeah,
I think he's more of a pure 4 who can play small ball 5. If the shot really comes through at a high clip,
if you think he can play small ball 5, like, do you think he's Draymond Green?
No, I don't think he's Draymond Green. But like, what I'm saying is, like, what do you think he's more likely to play small ball 5 or big 3?
Can play small ball 5?
No.
Yeah.
So you think Collins is going to play 3?
How's the archetype that similar, by the way?
Of who?
Kobe Brown. You're saying, oh, well, like, what makes the archetype so different?
Oh, I thought you said Kobe Bryant for a second. No, Kobe Brown could play.
Yeah.
Kobe Brown could be a small ball 5.
Yes, I said Kobe Bryant when you've been arguing about Colin Murray Boyles and Kobe Brown.
I haven't been arguing. I just said they were similar archetypes from a physique standpoint. But my whole thing is
an archetype of physique.
I was just saying that Kobe Brown and Colin Murray Boyles are 4, like 5 tweeners that also have bodies more of a 3. Now, I rather play Colin Murray Boyles CMB and Kobe Brown both as small ball 5s and natural 4s. But in theory, could they moonlight? They can guard 3s.
Yeah, CMB.
And
like he at least has some versatility. He's switchable. Yeah.
Would you ever play him at the 3 on offense?
I mean, no. Like he's gonna be a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that he can guard both of them. He's one of the better passers. He's a connected piece. I honestly think he's the glue guy that you want. Guys, teams are looking for contending teams are looking guys for him. And
but if you thinking he's a 4-5, like because he probably. Just due to the strength aspect, like he's probably going to be guarding bigger players, right?
Yeah,
like, but why isn't he necessarily like a combo big?
Because I think there's a chance lack of size, and there's a chance he's only 230. Kobe Brown's bigger than him. David West.
Kobe Brown also was older than him. Like that. That's the thing.
I'm just saying is like.
He was like Colin was better at a younger age.
I know he's athletically and
he was more athletic than Kobe Brown.
Yes, and I think athletically and all that, he guards the perimeter better than he does the interior.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And at an NBA level, I think he's going to be more on the outside than he is on the inside, as he was in college, because if he gets any heavier, I think that's going to hurt him on the outside in terms of foot speed and everything. So to me, that makes him more of a pure 4 that, like, again, in seldom situations have play 5. I mean, if the 3-point shot really comes through and he goes to a team where he's able to play a weirdly big lineup, let's just say in like some weird, like the Rockets, if they ever ran a lineup where it's Şengün, Steven Adams, and Colin Murray Boyles, if they were just trying to do something crazy, because Ime Udoka would try that, that could maybe work if the shot's there. But yeah, like that's why I think he's just more of a pure 4. That's why I don't have him as a combo.
No, I mean I do too. Yeah, but this is combo forwards
or combo forwards, not combo big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Noah Essengay, like, yeah. Do you have like any debate between those two guys, CMB and Noah?
I think Noah is, again, even though he had a great finish to the year, shot the ball well, I think there's a lot more idea and potential on the guy than with Colin Murray Boyles, even though both guys are coming from crap teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like teams that didn't win much. Okay. Murray Boyles put better in advanced stats and made more winning plays than Essengay. And if I was
in the best conference in the NCAA, also
the second best, Big 12 is the best, but
I mean, I know your Kansas love and everything there, but like this year it was clearly the SEC, dude.
Yeah.
Big 12 has been the best many a year, but yeah, this year the SEC, like, yeah, the level of NCAA tournament teams, and
yeah. So
the fact that, by the way, the champion, he came from there.
So what we're gonna say is CMB. I would rather, if I was drafting, I'd rather have CMB. Plus, I know CMB. Both guys being tweeners, I kind of know what CMB position wise is. Noah Essengay is a headache. They look, a good headache forever figures it out. It's just one that if I was drafting and deciding between the two, I'd rather say CMB is an easier puzzle to figure out than Noah Essengay is.
Okay.
Now, Noah Essengay would be.
Why do you think Rasheer is a 3-4?
Because I don't think he's strong enough to be an actual small ball 5, and I think he moves well enough to be a massive pterodactyl 3 occasionally. And he's a bomber from 3-point range. He's a guy who I can be someone who can actually kind of like a Chris Boucher type defensive player in a way, who can guard the perimeter but also come in and be a weak side rim protector, just swatting shots away, but is more nimble on the offensive side to be a guy who will space the floor, can set backdoor screens for shooters, and then cut to the dunker spot and be a slasher in that sense and be a transition guy. And I think he has a bit more of a handle than people think. Plus, he plays one-on-one with Walter Clayton Jr. on the regular.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how talented of a shot blocker Chris Boucher was?
Yes.
Just throwing that out there.
Yes. But what I'm saying
he also weighed 180 pounds and is kind of a very rare combination of athleticism and
very similar frames though.
No.
7'5" wingspan on Rasheer Fleming.
Yeah. No, Rasheer's much stronger than Chris was, but Chris was Chris didn't do athleticism testing at the combine because of his torn ACL, and he didn't get drafted because of his torn ACL. But yeah, he athleticism and movement.
For everybody who doesn't know, Mikey graduated and is still a very big Oregon Ducks fan. So
this is also signed by Chris Boucher right here. So yeah, I'll throw that out there too. But yeah. But yeah, I don't see him as similar to Chris. But yeah,
I wasn't saying they were similar. I just said the role. I was
always been
saying the role.
Chris has always been a 4-5.
I was not comparing him to Chris Boucher. I was comparing the way Chris Boucher was able to cover ground and swat shots. That's what I meant by that. And it's due to the fact that, similar to Rasheer Fleming, Chris Boucher also has a 7'5" wingspan.
7'4", but yeah, close enough.
Who's counting?
Close
enough.
Yeah, for a guy who's 180 pounds, that's pretty cool.
And I think Rasheer's obviously stronger.
Rasheer's Rasheer's a +9, right? He was absurd.
I think also Rasheer has way better ball skill, and that'll allow him to be able to play the 3. And if he can play the 3 and 4, I think that makes him deadlier of a player as a combo forward than a 4-5. I think it raises his ceiling.
I don't know about that. I'd like, yeah. I like if he can actually play the 3, then yeah. But
if he can actually play the 3, then I think he can take advantage of players and be a guy who bruises on players, and then is able to be even better of a defensive player because he'll just be overwhelming players.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen that aspect yet. But
now, as a combo forward, I do think Carter Bryant is higher than him in retro. Like since the combine, I think Carter Bryant, first off, has
you really... trust him guarding 3-4s more
and
than
2s maybe too.
Sure. Yeah,
I think Carter Bryant's an athletic freak. You know, his body type really reminds me of Miles Bridges.
I'm not sure about that one.
You don't.
I'm not sure about that one.
6'8", 6'7".
But Miles was like 230, right? Like Miles
out the gate. I thought he's 230 now.
No, he was pretty big.
I didn't realize he's 230 out the gate. Well, that's what I was gonna get at.
He was super strong.
Okay, word. So, the belief with Carter Bryant though is if he seems like he can fill out to that 230, and if Carter Bryant can get to that 230, I like that frame on a Carter Bryant 6'7", 230 or 225, a guy who has the strength to guard multiple positions, to be, you know, at the very least a defensive player similar to Peyton Watson, where he's going to be able to be athletic enough to make some blocks in the inside because he'll cover the ground, but strong enough to guard 3s and 4s and quick enough to guard 2s. So that'll keep him on the floor. He's a guy who does the right things, plays well in transition, knows how to read the floor and run it on offense, but also knows how to stop the ball on defense. And I think that's the biggest thing, is he's a guy that, as the year went on, he got more playing time. What do you think of him?
I think he certainly, like, from a physical standpoint, has a lot of good things going on. And yeah, like his advanced numbers, especially defensively, look good. The one thing with him, just from I think even as a shooter, like there's definite upside there too. I just kind of wondered about if he really plays into like a more of an offensive role. Like I through the years of watching him, I just have kind of always wondered if he can take on more of that, like get the aggression and confidence to take on more of an offensive role.
Are you scared that he's going to Patrick Williams it?
I think there are some similarities there. Yeah, that's not like a terrible comp.
Did you like that?
And by the way, Patrick was huge too.
He's had the same exact stats since college.
Yeah. Or what?
Like
what
to a T.
Yeah.
And they're not bad.
I mean, like Carter, he should have played more minutes this year, but yeah, he like still a lot to be desired offensively. Yeah, Patrick.
I just blew your mind.
Right around 215. Yeah.
So another guy I think is one of the biggest sleepers. Great.
He's an upside guy.
Carter Bryant's definitely an upside guy, and that was always Patrick Williams.
Oh yeah, Noah Penda. You moved Noah over Rasheer?
Yeah, the more I looked at it, it's because one thing. I've always been a high Noah guy, playing for Le Mans out of France. He's a guy who's been on a good team, by the way. He is a great catch and shoot player. He has a very similar frame to a young Tobias Harris in terms of being a thick-bodied forward. I do think he's more of a pure 4-3, 3-4 type guy. I wouldn't really ever play him at the 5, but he's a young guy who's been called upon to play actual minutes on a basketball team that's winning games. He's starting out the year as a 40% catch and shoot 3-point shooter. And to me, he's someone who, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's all defense, but he tries on defense. He has, a willingness to step up on his man, keeps his hip forward, and does a good job of competing on both ends. And I think the thing about him is he plays the way that a good role player does. He knows when to be a complimentary scorer. He knows when he's hot. He knows when to delegate. And if you're a guy in the late 20s, early second round, that's kind of what you need if you have need some size in 3-point shooting at the forward spot.
Mm-hmm.
Athletically, I don't know how athletic he is. It's hard to tell with these guys in Europe. So
he's pretty decent. He moves pretty well, and then he's really strong dude.
He does look strong, and that's why I said the whole Tobias Harris. I think one of the underrated parts about Tobias Harris, no one gives a credit about, is like Tobias Harris for his size is like pound for pound one of the strongest guys. For a dude of his size,
I think like offensively he was a lot more talented than Noah, but yeah.
Then Gay or
Penda. Yeah, sorry, Noah Penda.
Then
Noah Penda. Yeah.
Who is?
Tobias Harris was more.
Oh, yeah, yes. But wasn't Tobias a fringe lottery?
He might have even gone lower. Yeah, there were injury concerns.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he was drafted. I'm pretty sure like 16. He was drafted 19. Yeah. But and the thing is that I'm saying Penda mid to late 20s, early second. If you get him in
where do you have Rasheer then?
Rasheer is going early. This is just as combo forwards. I think Rasheer's
for this archetype.
Yeah, for this archetype. I think Rasheer is definitely like a late lottery.
So, are we moving to do Tiro up over Alex Tui and Michael Ruzic?
Yes, I think Adu Thiero is a guy. Dude, I saw this guy in person, like dunk from almost the free throw line 3 times against Miami. And dude, I think he went to the free throw line like 10 times that game, missed 8 free throws. I asked that in the press to John Calipari about it. And I was like, well, what's it like to have a guy like Thiero who can just like jump through it? And he's like, well, it'd be nice if he makes some damn free throws. He just like went on a whole rant. Like he has everything you want. The athleticism can make him. He's like, if he can make a shot, it's just like, and that's the whole thing. Dude, this guy's got good footwork. He'll literally drive from like the baseline, do a nice little crossover, get over a guy, pivot, literally off 2 feet from the dunker spot, lift up and just dunk over a center or something with ease. And then there's the boneheaded plays where you're just like, you're just going to be stuck to being a more athletic Josh Okogie.
Still a first round pick, probably, if you have him in that basket.
Oh, 100%. I think if you're a late first team, he's definitely in your consideration.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tui and Ruzic, what are your thoughts there?
I really like Tui. He's a guy that I probably think is going to go down the George Niang mold. Do you like that? Kind of just like he's.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that probably.
He's going to be a specialist in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then Michael Rusic, he's a smaller Dario Saric. A smaller Dario Saric.
The way you said that was hilarious.
Because you have to say it like you're Sean Connery saying, "How shucks for me."
A small Dario Saric. Ruzic just seems like he's a ways away, and yeah, like that. That's
he's a draft and stash piece. I would not be surprised if he withdraws. Dude, I literally, if you watch the interview, he literally goes to me, he's like, I played like shit. In like his combine interview. I was like, but he goes to his whispering, he's like, I played like shit. It's like, he's like, we recording this? I was like, yeah. It's like,
can you not interview me? Because I look ridiculous right now.
That's basically it.
Not anymore, buddy.
Not anymore. So, though, out of all the guys here, I will say Sion James is probably going to be at the bottom of that list. Now, wings, swingman. Would you put Ace Bailey as a swingman or no?
Yeah. Probably
all right.
too, honestly.
Who?
probably would put Cooper too. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm actually more in the belief that Cooper plays a bit too demonstrative to play the 3. I think he is a natural 4.
I mean, I think he's gonna play either forward spot, like as we had him as a combo forward up there. Yeah, like
but he's natural fit.
I think you can kind of play him at 2 through 4 positions, but just like Ace or Carter Bryant or any of these other guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we'll go right here. I think Ace Bailey, we talked earlier, he's a guy, I think at this point people would compare more of a Brandon Miller archetype in terms of being able to play multiple positions, going to be a score first, 3-level scorer, that with his athleticism and length, you hope to be a decent defender when engaged. Trey Johnson, some people have said he's the 6'5", 6'6" version of a Cam Thomas. Arguably the best natural scorer in this class. He's gotten better as a facilitator and creator for others. I still think tunnel vision is something that he needs to work on. Now, the biggest thing is, like, he's not a bad defender. It's not like he's a cone. It's all about being him engaged. He's going to really only guard 1, 2s, and 3s, maybe some 1s. But is his ceiling a 6-man or really being a 20-point per game scorer? I've heard some people say like Malik Monk, a 6'6" Malik Monk is his ceiling.
Trey Johnson?
Yeah.
I mean, 6'6" Malik Monk sounds rad to me.
That sounds rad to me too, and I'm fine with that. I didn't mean to say anything wrong with that. What do you think of that?
No, I know. I'm just saying like that. Well, it's funny that like when even sorry to go back to this, but like going back to the Kobe Brown versus Colin Murray Boyles thing, and we said, well, like Colin Murray Boyles is a better defender, he's a better rebounder, he's more athletic. Like if you added all those qualities to a Kobe Brown, that would make him a much more interesting prospect, right? Yeah. So yeah, man, if you're like, okay, like Malik Monk, but he's 6'6", that sounds pretty cool.
No, and I get that. And the whole thing with the whole Kobe Brown was just to talk about how players of similar archetypes are viewed entirely differently in one draft class to another, was what I was bringing up.
I think you were more, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I think you were more saying like, these guys are so similar when they may have a similar like measurements and like archetype, whatever you're kind of classifying that as, but if you're better at a few different things, that like could completely shift how a team sees you.
I think in the sense that I wouldn't say they were like so similar, but I will say from a physique standpoint, yes, I think
yeah, exactly. Like to me, that's not an archetype. That's just their similar physique. Yeah. You can have guys who have a similar physique and play nothing alike, like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying they play nothing alike, but like, I think Colin Murray Boyles certainly has a lot more to work with than Kobe Brown did.
Yeah, and going back to the whole Malik Monk and Trey Johnson thing, I actually like the comparison more of a Malik Monk than a Cam Thomas, because I actually think Trey Johnson impacts the game more like a Malik Monk, which, no offense to Cam Thomas, I just think Malik Monk is a more impactful winning basketball player at his stage. Now, Cam Thomas has taken growths in his game and steps in his game to become better, but I think Malik...
Cam's fun as hell.
Yeah.
And he's a great scorer.
But I think Malik, due to him being a guy who got sent to LA and then ends up in Sacramento, was forced to mature and realize I had to change my play style to be a impactful guy, and that's why he's been, a perennial 6-man candidate over the last year.
Yeah. I like the Cedric Howard moving up. I had told you that previously.
We are big Cedric Howard guys here.
This is a Cedric Howard podcast, guys.
It's not a podcast, but it's but no, we are pro Cedric Howard here.
Cedric Howard show / podcast / wherever you're listening or watching.
Yeah. Cedric Howard's a guy that I think from the beginning I really liked. Watching his Wazoo tape, I know it's a few games, you see a guy who was clearly confident, but even going back further, to when he was playing at a lower level, he's a guy who shot die wise took all the right shots you want, took him at a high volume, scaled his game up, 7-foot wingspan, mature, emotional intelligence, as well as plays a position who can be a big 2 guard, natural 3. I think he's plug and play. I'm not really concerned about the injury either. I think it was just a fluke.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned in that I don't know. They never said what shoulder it was. That's the thing. I've never found out what shoulder it was. And it happened in practice, and you don't really see.
I didn't dig down that deep. I knew it was a shoulder injury.
We were digging down because in Getting the Game 101 draft class, we had Kendra Cheney on, and she wanted to go and examine how badly it could affect him. And we I had never heard if it was a shooting shoulder or not. And we couldn't find anything. I was talking to a bunch
at the combine though.
Yeah, I know. I know he shot at the combine, but nonetheless, if it could possibly be reoccurring or who knows? I don't know that factor, but the fact that he was at the combine and they shot at the combine are very good signs for sure.
And the fact that, unlike a Cam Whitmore, which I was told after the draft, the red flag was that he had bow legs. He had very similar knee problems to an Andrew Bynum, and it was his leg was bow legged. So the whole thing was actually a trainer explained it to me, was the way that their team was, the risk and reward was the probability of him being able to have a 10-year career was less likely. You get what I'm saying? And then I think
again, somebody that kind of made me see injuries maybe a little differently from Getting the Game 101. Ben Falk brought up that of Clean the Glass, brought up that the way he sees it is there are risks on everything in the draft, and injury is just another form of risk. And to me, seeing a guy if you're outside of let's say the top 10 and you're I don't think this guy can have a 10-year career, aren't you kind of more looking at this guy lasting past his rookie contract, or even contributing during that rookie contract? The 10-year career thing seems a bit much if you're
well, it wasn't that,
and he went 20th. To me, if you were 14 to 19, maybe some other factors should have gone in there. And I don't know where this person was drafting, because Cam Whitmore was originally slated to be a potential top 5 guy.
It was going off what you just said. It was going off, I think the exact word was how likely was he going to get to that second contract.
Oh, okay.
It
wasn't the 10-year thing. It was
no. I paraphrased, literally just off record. But as soon as he said the second contract thing, it's one of those things. The light bulb hit, and the whole phrase. Yeah, he literally says when you draft somebody,
then that's a lot more scary.
Yeah, the guy says when you literally this trainer is when we as a medical staff we tell the guys how likely is it this player with said injury or said injury risk will make it to the next contract, the second contract, or make it through. And that is literally how you phrased it, how Ben Falk, one of the OGs in NBA analytics, is a guy that I think that phrased it perfect. It's when you look at the guys with risks, you want to see, okay, you have them for 4 years. How likely will they be able to get to the next contract, or how likely will they be able to contribute in that 4 years?
I think Ben was more not talking even about the next contract or anything. That was But Ben was more saying that injury is just another form of risk in the prospect. Will they shoot? Can they handle physicality? What's their likelihood of being re-injured? That thing.
Yeah. And again, I think literally looking at it as the rookie deal lens, how impactful. And this is something that I said earlier when we were talking about the Noah Gay and the Colin Murray Boyles, is in that 4-year deal. And I think Jeremy Grant's a perfect example of this. Was if you draft a Jeremy Grant type player, you aren't going to be the one to reap the rewards of that fruit that you work on. It's going to be
More
the
than
next
likely
team.
not. Yeah.
It's going to be the team on the second contract, maybe even the third contract if if everything
It
pans out.
It depends where. Yeah. It depends how your team's set up. Yeah. For
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think Cedric Howard, out of the players in this wing swingman classification, is actually
He'd
able.
be somebody I'd be willing to bet on.
We've been talking about Portland. Portland's a team that could take this guy.
I agree.
Boom.
Because I think Carter Bryant's in play for Portland too.
Yeah, and same thing with Houston. I'll even go there. Like these are all teams that I think.
I agree.
There are so many teams in the teens that could take a Cedric Howard in front of a Carter Bryant or a Liam McNeely because they're like, hey, he offers us all the same upside and is going to be able to come in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Carter Bryant, we've talked about, he's kind of a toolsy guy. There's a lot of questions around him, similar of a Patrick Williams mold, where defensively, I think he's going to be able to contribute. There is a little bit of passiveness to his game, the athleticism and the moldability there, where maybe he can get up to like a 220, 230 frame where he's going to be guarding multiple positions.
Sure.
And the question is the scalability.
Yeah.
Now, Liam McNeely, Drake Powell, and Will Riley. Will Riley, ultimate slasher, former point guard, 6'8", bouncy guy. Question is the 3-point shot and the skinniness. What is he really? Drake Powell, athletic, jump out the gym type player.
Crazy athlete.
Solid defender, kind of a passive background guy who doesn't really assert himself on the offensive side.
Offensively, you're terrified.
Yeah. Liam McNeely, probably closer to a Corey Kispert-esque like wing who, I think a lot of people don't realize he did shoot 40% unguarded from 3, 36% on catch and shoot threes. And I think holistically, yes, his numbers were below 40% from 3, but he literally told me at the combine that he played the entire year injured. So on a bum ankle. And if anyone's played on a bum ankle, that is probably one of the hardest things to play through because it F's up everything, especially your jump shot because you're shooting on one leg.
No, his shooting numbers were, they were all over the place. But he has that sample size from the Montverde days, from,
he's one of those guys, like a Luke Kennard and stuff that mechanically is going to be good. But what do you think of those three guys? How would you rank them?
Probably similarly. Yeah, Will is so much more talented offensively than Drake Powell, but Drake's like a great defender. Like that's the one thing where, Drake can probably get on the court defensively. Yeah, obviously has more of a wingspan than either of those guys. But he and then just like from a vertical explosiveness, he's unreal. But like finding that offensive game has been kind of something that I know apparently played really well at Tatum camp last year. He had like a great scrimmage there, but on the whole, he has struggled to score at times. Yeah.
I want to just add to you, I think Liam will agree is above both those just because I think the safetiness of that pick at the very least.
He's strong. He's a strong player, and just his track record. And then the passing, some of the other things he can do offensively.
So the question is, I think Drake and Will, they both have the detractors, but they both have their lovers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will back up that Will Riley statistically is one of the best slashers in college basketball this past year. Really good off the ball. He's someone who clearly understands how to read the floor. I just have
one of the best. Can you quantify that?
Cutter. Like he was one of the most efficient scorers off cuts in this past year in college basketball, if that makes sense.
Slashing means something else. Yeah.
What do you mean? I thought slashers cutter did.
I mean, slashing is kind of driving. Yeah. It's not necessarily cutting. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I always understood slasher was a guy who was like good cutter and good driver.
I feel like slashing is kind of more on ball and cutting is more off ball. Yeah. But that's how I would see it. Yeah.
I just want to. Okay, yep. Slashing. But also, I think he is also decent at dribble penetrating, not like in terms of as good as of a cutter,
Yeah.
but.
I mean, I would think you're more referring to his ability to play off ball, his ability to shoot.
He's kind of a Karis LeVert type mold. If we're gonna say, if you were trying to develop him, would you agree offensively? Or Bub Carrington?
Karis was like a lot longer, right? Yeah.
Karis is 6'6".
No, but like longer, like wingspan.
Yeah. He measured in what 6'9" wingspan, 6'8".
Will?
Yeah.
Will's wingspan is like almost even to his height. Yeah.
So 6'7".
I think 6'8", but like like he, whatever it was, Will doesn't have a long wingspan.
So the thing with Will is you're getting a guy who's a former guard. The jump shot looks fine. It's a hit or miss at times. He does seem like he's a bit more offensively.
6'8", 3/4. Sorry.
Word. So he's a guy who seems like he could be a bit more of the higher upside offensive player. He has all the tools to be decent defensively. Drake has all the tools to be a solid role player who, if he can assert himself on offense or at least become a volume 3-point shooter to some degree, he can be a impactful player. That's why and the athleticism is just so, like, it's not that Will Riley's not a good athlete. No, Drake Powell, a borderline elite athlete, Will like average NBA athlete. So that's why I have him higher.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. I could see Will possibly going higher in the draft, but those guys are like a lot of draft battles. Like we're even saying between like Derek Queen and Common Malawatch, like you're getting two totally different skill sets and things you're banking on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hugo Gonzalez seems to be like another guy who just athletically you're banking on
the European Will Riley.
Yeah. The European Will Riley.
Who's better at defense.
Yeah. And worse at shooting, right?
Terrible at shooting. It's also, but the whole thing is people don't realize he like just never has gotten an opportunity with Real Madrid. Like Real Madrid plays him as like their defensive specialist who can guard 1 through 3, could start fast breaks, and just doesn't really let him shoot the ball. But he also doesn't really assert himself either.
Yeah.
Now
Sion James versus Kobe Bryant. Where are you seeing there?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant, by the way, was like the one guy at the draft combine who had a negative wingspan differential.
I still think he could be the Jalen Wells of this draft class if drafted in the second round. Absolute bomber from 3. He's a guy that like
Jalen was a lot more athletic though. Right?
Yeah. I think and better defensively, but Brea plays well. Though I do know he has 2 iron rods in his leg. He suffered. That's what you told me, that right?
No,
somebody told me this. I don't know if this is news to people. Yeah, he has 2 metal rods in his leg. He's suffered stress fractures in both legs, and they put metal rods in his legs.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so people said he doesn't move his feet well, if you notice, as a result of that.
Yeah, like seemed like he had a few things athletically that were less than desirable.
Yeah, and Sion James is a jack of all trades, master of none, glue guy. He's just kind of a guy you're going to bet on, might hang around because he sees the floor well, seems like he can be a glue guy, might not do anything that stands out.
You're Ishan Almansa of Swingmen.
Yep. We got it all. We got it all done. Combo guards. Here we go. Trey Johnson, we've talked about before. Malik.
Yeah, I don't really. A lot of these guys I don't see as combo guards. Let's be real. Dude.
Okay, what do you mean? So
like, Trey Johnson's never gonna play the 1, dude.
No, combo guard's a 2, bro.
Do you know what a combo means?
Yeah, but like a 2 who has point guard like skills. Yes, I know.
Trey Johnson doesn't really have point guard like skills.
Okay, so who do you want to? We'll take him off the list then. You want
As a combo guard? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but do Dylan Harper.
Yeah. Dylan Harper's like, and he wasn't even on the list, right?
Yep. There we go. So Dylan Harper's the best combo guard.
Combo
I
guard?
personally
I
think
love
he
it.
is a natural point guard. He is one of the best
But
passers in this draft. Go.
If he's going to San Antonio, there's a really good chance he won't be a point guard there. And yeah, there are lots of other places where he could play either guard spot.
Yeah. How long ago did the screen stop sharing? Just a second ago?
Just a couple of minutes. Like as soon as you were switching out Trey Johnson. That was
Okay, sweet. So Dylan Harper here as our one guy, as he is arguably the best, especially like you said, if he goes to San Antonio and they don't make a trade, he's the best combo guard, a guy who can play on or off ball. I think he's best suited on the ball, but his ability to tack the basket as a slasher, but also create his own shot off the dribble while being someone who, yeah, I literally watched it do it on my screen. Intrigues me at.
I said mind of its own. Go on.
Yeah, literally mind of its own. So with that being said, what are your thoughts of this? Besides Dylan Harper being self-explanatory as one of the better combo guards, I think this is an interesting draft class because there isn't a ton of combo guards. I think Ben Seraph is the other natural combo guard. Another guy that I think is, if he does develop to his fullest potential, it's at the point guard position, and that's the same thing with Dylan Harper. Jace Richardson is an undersized 6'1", I would say, guard.
Yeah. You can change the height.
Him and I are the same heights.
Michigan State.
Michigan
State exaggeration.
We got yourself Jace Richardson, Will Riley, Tyrese Proctor, Hunter Salas, Kobe Sanders, and Dink Pate. I'm going to take out John Tunjay because I know you didn't like him. We're going to do Mark Sears. You like that one?
No, because he's just going to be a point guard.
Okay. Elijah Martin?
Yeah, that could be. Oh, yeah. I think that was the one I suggested to you. Yeah.
Okay, Elijah Martin then. We'll go Elijah, even though I'm not really that big of an Elijah Martin fan. No offense.
Yeah. I mean, you could have him at the bottom.
But yeah, we'll move him, but
he certainly played a role for Florida.
So the way I'll put this right here, I think it's almost it's the way the list should go. A lot of these guys might have been point guards at the team they played it before, but because of their play style and the NBA, they're going to be forced more into a specialist role that is probably going to pull them away from their point guard. But if they do truly succeed to their max potential, it might be at the point guard position, like for Harper and Seraph. However, I think Jace Richardson, I think he's kind of like, I mean, I've always said a smaller Eric Gordon, but maybe it is kind of being a Patty Mills. And you know who's not on this list that should be on this list? And there's somebody that I could take off. It's Walter Clayton Jr.
You see him more as a combo, yeah.
Or do you think he's going to be?
Yeah. Well, I think he's more like going to be the lead guard.
Okay,
yeah.
So I won't put him there. So reason why I have a lot of these guys as combo guards is Jace, an undersized 2 guard who might be forced to play point guard, but might thrive as a 2 guard. You got Will Riley, who was coming up heralded as a tall guard. Tyrese Proctor was naturally a lead guard, but over the years, they kind of moved him into the Dyson Daniels mold at Duke. And Hunter Salas literally played the 1, the 2, and the 3 at Wake Forest and at Gonzaga. Kobe Sanders was a point guard at Cal Poly, then went to Nevada, was more of a 2, and at the NBA, they're going to probably run him at the 2 or the 3, but he has those point guard-like skills that'll run transition. Dink Pate was another guy like Will Riley that was heralded as a 6'8" point guard, but he's really just a kind of 6'8" scoring guard. And Neo Avadalis, similar thing to like Will Riley, really good cutter, can slash with the ball in his hand, and is able to push the pace, but probably more suited at the 2 or the 3. Ajay Martin.
Your top 3 guys are like combo guards, and then the rest are like a bunch of wings
that have point guard, played guard growing up. And
sure. I mean, like lots of people get called guards, Cyro. Like that's what I've found through the years. And yes, Will Riley certainly did play guard, and Tyrese Proctor was a point guard, and like
was Hunter Salas.
Yeah. Hunter Salas too.
And Kobe Sanders.
Nope.
And Dink Pate.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think they fit the combo. Yeah, Will Riley as a swingman, I more like that. Kobe Sanders probably as well. But yeah, and Dink Pate. I think Dink Pate's more of a swingman too.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But he
And
was,
Dallas.
yeah. But these were guys who legit played point guard, and if you look on,
Yeah. I mean, like you could say former point guards rather than best combo guards. Like, yeah,
this is a weak combo guard class.
yeah.
And part of the reason why I may have a lot of these weird tweeners is because of how weak this combo guard class is.
Mm-hmm.
As my microphone fell.
What
are your thoughts on outside? What do you think of Tyrese Proctor?
What do you think like of? Let's look at the cluster of Proctor, Salas, Sanders. Where would you rank those guys?
Dude, I'm a really big Sanders fan. Like,
I would have Sanders above those guys too.
Yeah, so over pre-draft, I think Sanders has all the tools just to be an impact defender that those guys don't have. And scoring-wise, he's just shot the cuff off the ball every time I've seen him. He's got pretty big size. Dude, one thing I will admit, Tyrese Proctor became a really good three-point shooter at a low volume, I'll admit. But he also, I think, saw what Dyson Daniels started doing and realized, like, I should probably do that instead of being like a pure point guard. Obviously, he's not as good as Daniels, but it's kind of that 6'6" big two guard who's like a secondary playmaker in terms of secondary facilitator.
Yeah. I think he'd be big if he's a point guard. I think as a two guard, he's pretty average to below average size.
6'6". Then
he's 6'4" and a quarter without shoes, and then weighed $183, 6'7" and a quarter wingspan. Yeah, all of those are like below average for a shooting guard.
What? They're like this. I thought they're par.
No. Where are the measurements I have for shooting guards right now? I just did a new one, and the measurements I had should be somewhere here. Coming shortly. I know that the standing reach is like 8'5", something like that. Wingspan, I think, over 6'8".
I have a fear that Neo Abdalas, if he doesn't go, I would have him higher, but I have a fear that if he doesn't get first round or borderline second round buzz. But at the same time, at this point, I feel like a lot of the guys might just be staying in the draft because they realize how small this draft class is, that they're like, this might be my best bet to ever get drafted.
So, Cyro, yeah, these are measurements, average measurements, NBA draft combine, positional averages, 2010 to 2024.
Mm-hmm.
These were for first rounders and second rounders that had either like been on a roster more recently or like had a sustained NBA career. And the largest sample size was actually shooting guards.
Okay, and what is the shooting guards?
So 6'4.29" without shoes, so he's like right there.
Yep.
But 201.3 for weight.
Okay.
6'8.83" wingspan.
Okay.
8'5.34" standing reach.
All right.
Below average for all of those. Other than like height, I'll give him height. Like, yeah, that's fine. But everything else is below average. Now for point guards, he is slightly above average. I think for everything except weight, yeah.
Weight,
and wingspan, yeah, he'd be like right there.
Well, you're telling me Neo Abdalas is ready, is primed for the shooting guard position.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Neo is for sure, but I think he's more of a swingman. I think.
Yeah, I get that, but he did play point guard this year for Peristeri in the Greek League. So then Hunter Salas, I think he's just 3-point shooter who can play some of the point guard position. Dink Pate and Neo Abdalas, both guys who play guard positions, but I do believe more of swingmen. Maybe they do play. Elijah Martin, what do you think? What do you think of the last 4 or 5 guys?
Yeah, I think ranked as is. Yeah, it's fine.
All right. So here we go. Dylan Harper, I think, is the best point guard in this draft class.
No argument
Now,
there.
now I think he can make live dribble passes, passes basically in any half court setting that you want. I also think he's a guy who could potentially be the left-handed Cade Cunningham. Kasparis Yakichonis, right? Or Yakichunas?
Mm-hmm.
Yakichonis?
I think it's Kasparis, but yeah.
Kasparis? Kasparis?
Yeah.
Kasparis Yakichonis?
Yeah.
I know you hate the Tyrese Halliburton comp, but I think he's a guy who's going to be able to develop on or off ball. I think that the highest potential for him is as a.
The more you see the finals, do you like the Tyrese Halliburton comp?
We've only seen one game.
The more you see the playoffs, sorry, I should say.
Now, I think the thing with him is that his best version of him is going to be as an on-ball guard, as a floor general, who's going to be able to be this kind of.
But kind of like Tyrese, no, okay, playing into Tyrese, he plays really well off another guy that can handle the ball like Andrew Nebhard.
Yes.
So yeah. So Kasparis will probably like that is the ideal version where he has another person that can handle as well.
And the thing with him
He's
is
a really good passer, but like it's like the primary handler. He'll need some help.
But what I like about him is he will drive in, like he has this tough nose play style about him where he drives with basically blind courage at times. Mm-hmm. Now, does it cause a lot of turnovers? Yes. But yeah, I think his willingness.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of teams. Yeah.
But his fearlessness.
And for fan bases as well, apparently.
His fearlessness is admirable. And that allows him to be very creative as a passer.
No, he was willing to experiment for sure.
A great way to put it, experiment. And that's why I have him in front of Yagor Demon. Yagor does not, like, if he...
Well, and he's also just a lot better at getting his own offense.
Another great way to put it, yeah. I just think, I like Yagor, and I think Yagor is actually a better passer than Harper in Kasparis.
I think he's probably the best passer in the draft, yeah.
100%. But I think he's timid at times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just...
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I think the whole thing that keeps me from saying that he's the best floor general is that his timidness, or it might be even a lack of creativity at times in terms of if he sees he doesn't do a good job. If the defense stops him, he's willing just to delegate.
It's a lack of confidence too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if like, his shooting at the start of the year, he started off gangbusters. Like when the shot was falling, like it was looking fantastic. But yeah, as the year progressed, there were concerns, and he kind of went back to where we had seen him as a shooter.
So moving off there, what is your thoughts of Jeremiah Fears, Nolan Traore really close the?
I know you really like Jeremiah. So yeah, where you're like, I go through this cluster of three of Kasparis, Yegor, and Jeremiah, and where you would, are you ranking that as is? Or do you think do you like Jeremiah better than Yegor as an NBA prospect?
So, I just think this is just me being someone. I think you can not. Okay. The shot is one thing that scares me with Jeremiah Fears, and it's like I think shooting's the easiest thing.
Both of their shots are scary, right? Like, yeah.
Okay,
but now, is it scarier if you're 6'9" versus 6'3"?
That's what I'm saying. Is like Fears, I can just move him to the forward spot, and we can figure this out as you being like a pass. Yagor, yeah, Yagor has more positionality that I can move him and kind of turn him into what Josh Giddey was on the Thunder at worst case scenario, where we're like, you're a slob wizard. You're going to kind of be off the bench, connecting.
I think that's, again, you say as worst case scenario so often with guys who are like, best case scenario.
Sorry. I know. I'm half glass full for some people, but my fear with Fears is there's a chance that he's not a natural guard. And even though I think shooting's the easiest thing to fix, maybe he's not even a natural floor general. but I think he's a guy who needs the ball in his hands, regardless if he's a 2 or a 1. He's going to be a guy who needs the ball just to create offense for himself. Is he a natural creator of offense for others? No, but like I think that's something that it's not like an entire skill that can be acquired, but it's a skill that can be honed and got better at. So I also think that for his best version of himself, he's going to have to play with another guard. And is he willing to play with another guard? I don't know. And I think also he's going to have to be on a team that is a lot of ball handlers. There's going to be a lot of guys he has to be on a team that already has a lot of floor spacing and have guys around him who don't need the ball in his hands so he can drive and kick. And that's going to be the big way that he's going to create for others, is being a guy who gets downhill as a slasher and then creates for others off the kick, than rather just being and doing that a lot through the pick and roll and winning through transition, than being a true point guard who brings the ball up the half court, runs a set, and is able to, read the floor, see this first or second option not be open, and then create for the third or fourth guy off of true just, spontaneity, than off of what, is told by him. And that's my biggest fear.
Mm-hmm.
For fears.
Yeah. Tears for fears.
So I don't know. And that gets me scared is, what's his true position?
I think a point guard, but yeah.
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 So Nolan Traore, he's cool. He's just, nothing's flashy about him. Like, he shot better to end the year. He runs the pick and roll well, but he doesn't blow me away. Like, yeah, he could be a safe pick if he's at the end of this first or beginning of the second. And like, I need a point guard, sure, I'll take him. But like, if I'm really like rebuilding or something, like he's not, grinding my gears for making me pissed off. But he's not really like getting me excited. He doesn't excite me in any way. I don't see him being a franchise savior in any way.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Dylan Harper, I don't think any of these guys are.
I know, but like you,
yeah. No, like, certainly, like, you're saying as a piece that, you see as like
he's not moving the needle.
He's not, yeah, moving the needle as somebody you want running your team.
Yeah,
which is what you would ideally want from a floor general.
I want first round picks to either be guys that can be day one contributors as somewhat role players, or guys who have the potential to be, pretty solid role players or starters one day for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ideally. Yeah. I think as you get further down the first round, the thing you're hoping for, like, once you get, I would say even at the end of the lottery and once you get further down, if that person's a rotation piece, then you're pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for upside being beyond that, then yeah, I get it.
And that's why I have Walter Clayton over Nolan, because I think Walter Clayton's got that poise to be let me put the screen back up, but Walter Clayton being a bucket getter, I said it before, kind of a Patty Mills, just a shot getter that can play both the 1 or the 2 and create for others.
Yeah. Yeah, I
think
can see that.
Cam Jones did a good job of playing
Tyler.
Yeah. He replaced Tyler Kolek, did a great job, got some size. I actually kind of like Cam Jones better than Nolan Traore because of his shooting and his ability to play 1 or the 2.
Dude, it's your list.
I know, but I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for me. I think I'd like Nolan's upside a little bit more, but yeah, Cam had a great year in Marquette.
Great years.
Great years. Yeah, I'm still not sure. I see him as like a floor general, and kind of maybe as more of a 2. And then yeah, you just wonder how much you would want him on ball, and yeah, I probably would go with Nolan's upside a little more at this point, but yeah, really, I don't know, man. Like it at this point in the draft, like when you're getting to that first round, like end of first round, you could go a number of different directions, and I'd be fine with it.
And then to wrap this up, Tyrese Proctor, we talked about it. He's originally a point guard, but he kind of got moved out of point guard, but he still, I think, is a natural lead guard. Him at being a lead guard at 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" in shoes could be huge. Ryan Nembhard's 5'10".
6'6" in shoes.
And then
6'4" and a quarter, but his shoes are huge. And yeah, I'm going with this list of Duke size just because I really like it. It looks better.
He's got moon shoes. Every time you see him, he's got these thick soles.
Yeah, man. Dude, have you seen the fish in that guy's shoes? Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. Give him
He's in a
lot
little
of
aquarium.
space.
He's growing. He puts tadpoles in there. Then when they become like not full
When they become
frogs,
frogs, they die. Yeah.
no, Ryan Nemhard is actually a great passer. He's 5'10", 6 foot in shoes.
Yeah, he's a small dude. I just think like his brother didn't really. They're not vertical athletes like at all.
No,
And
but they're
I think
gamers.
Ryan Nemhard just might be smart enough and like crafty enough where he may get a shot.
Yeah, and like, look, if Jose
so
Alvarado can get like, and Jose Alvarado is a different like hustler, pesky guy. But
I mean, he was also like Jose Alvarado was also ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
I know. I think Jose Alvarado, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Ryan Nemhard averaged 9.8 assists per game in college.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
Dude, he's arguably one of the best passers in this draft class.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
For sure.
and then Mark Sears, just a steady guy coming from, I think, just did the same thing, mature. You know what you want, and out of him, he won't turn the ball over. But now,
Backup point guard. That's what you're hoping for there.
yeah, reserve guy. Perimeter defenders, I think.
Perimeter defenders. Where the
Right.
hell is Drake Powell?
I was about to put him right there. Wait.
Instead, you put Adu Thiero again.
Oh wow, yeah. And then for guards, I think Mark Sears would be up there, right?
Perimeter defenders.
No,
Crazy.
yeah, you're right. No, Tyrese Proctor.
Heineman.
Tyrese Proctor. You don't think he's one of the best perimeter defenders?
Yeah.
Huh?
Wouldn't you put Carter Bryant up there?
Yeah, he's right there.
Okay, you got Carter. Yeah, my bad.
Kobe Sanders, Sion James, Nick Clifford.
Who else? What? Okay, yeah.
I feel like this is a good list. Cooper Flag, guard every single position. VJ Edgecombe, he's got that case on Wallace type like defensive style where I think he can guard 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Just real pesky, puts his guy on there. Colin Murray Boyle is just like the defensive stalwart of this draft class that everybody's obsessing with. Adu Thiero and Drake Powell and Carter Bryant are your like freak athletes that you're hoping that combination of their length, their athleticism, and their just the toolsiness will carry over to make them borderline all like I think Drake Powell and Carter Bryant have better potential to be all defensive level defenders. Adu Thiero is just an athletic freak that I've said like he's got that Josh Okogie kind of in him in terms of defensive play. And then Tyrese Proctor is a 6'5", 6'6" guard who, I mean, when you're that big and willing of defender, he kind of is like a Dyson Daniels-esque defender. Nick Clifford's shown he can play defense.
Guy who just averaged 3 steals a game in the NBA.
Poor man's Costco when he was on the Pelicans. Now it just went away. But
going ham on that one.
Yeah, no. And then we have Sion James and Nick Clifford. Nick Clifford is a multi-positional guy. Really been able to show he can guard multiple positions. Sion James, similar thing. And Kobe Sanders, one of the most underrated players in this draft class, went from playing point guard to playing the 2, and he's going to be able to guard 1 through 3, maybe even some 4. And he's someone who's, I think, is just a huge sleeper in this draft class. Is there anyone you object or anyone you think who should be higher on that list?
I'm almost wondering Elijah Martin should be on this instead of like a Tyrese Proctor. Like I think you're going very much going in the Australian bag with Tyrese Proctor and Dyson.
You don't like that the guy was a former ruckman? Anybody who's a former ruckman could play defense?
Okay. Sure.
Okay, say what you want to say. I put Elijah Martin.
Former ruckman. That's a new thing teams are looking for. Former ruckman. Yeah. Where like any kind of shifts in rankings you would have or anything Yeah.
Oh,
like,
100%.
top three
100%.
guys. Yeah.
Elijah
Top
does.
three guys.
Elijah does not deserve to be there. Top 3 guys, I think, are locked.
Well,
would have-
I mean, this is your list, dude. You didn't have to put him there.
No, but what I was gonna
Yeah.
say is, I would have VJ over Colin Murray Boyles just because I think VJ is just more of a lock. I think
VJ
Carter.
makes sense, yeah.
Carter and
CMB does too, but I think VJ's just gonna be playing more minutes probably.
yeah, I would. Dude, I think Kobe right there. I think that if I had to reset it, I would put it like that. Carter Bryant and like we talked about, there's a little bit of scariness of like not scariness, but like Pat Williams, and even then, like he could still be like a decent guy.
I almost wonder if you put Drake Powell over Carter just as a perimeter defender.
Right now, I think Drake is the better defender. I think Drake honestly can guard 2-3. I think he might be athletic enough to guard some ones.
Yeah.
Like
No, he's like as a defensive prospect, he's really, really intriguing.
yeah,
Just will he score?
Neek and Kobe Sanders are 2 underrated defenders. I think. Like I think Neek Clifford's got some Ryan Dunn in him.
I don't know if I go that far, but yeah.
I mean, Ryan Dunn's an incredible defender, but like, okay, what about Neek? Maybe like Royce O'Neal,
Probably more accurate. Yeah.
like a little Royce O'Neal, where he's going to be a guy who can surprise you and guard some 4s, and then he'll be quick enough to guard some 2s, or maybe not quick enough, but long enough with the lateral quickness to stay against some slower.
He's another guy who's not like crazy long though, right, sir?
He's like 6'6" with like a 6'8" wingspan. Maybe
Yeah,
6'9".
I just told you what the average shooting guard is.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's this perimeter defender.
No, I mean, length on defense matters quite a bit at the NBA level for sure.
What do you think of the bottom?
Like I don't think you're saying he's like guarding 4s. Like that's gonna be really tough, man.
I'm not saying all 4s.
College, you can definitely do that. Didn't you
Royce
just say
O'Neal.
you
Royce
guarded
O'Neal.
4s at times? But Royce is longer than that, right? Yeah, like Meek's 6'8" on the dot. Like yeah. And Kobe, I know Kobe doesn't have a really long wingspan.
Kobe's like same 6'8", 6'8".
Like
You measured him.
I would probably have Thiero over both of them just on physical tools.
What do you? Okay, then what do you think of this right here? In your opinion, Elijah, Sion James. I really like Sion James, just his thick bodiness.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got just solid,
I agree.
and he can rotate well.
Mhm.
Elijah Morin. I mean, he's a proven defender. He played big minutes at college, and I think he's one of like the guys who's really pesky with his hands.
Yeah, and he is like, actually long too.
Yeah. What happened?
You know, he's certainly undersized for a shooting guard, but he I think athleticism makes up for it. And yeah,
Plus, he was on a championship team,
was indeed.
so that plays huge. Now,
Never say die. The Pacers of college basketball.
exactly. Now, your favorite, the best
Rim protector.
So,
Okay. So
what do you think?
Collins is the best rim protector?
Yeah, I think that's pretty
Obvious.
obvious.
The
I
NBA.
think right now, Kalkbrenner is the best.
The one thing is I thought Common would, and I guess maybe this is possibly minutes played. I thought he'd block more shots, just
Who?
being that huge and that athletic.
Oh yeah. Well,
He
that's
certainly affects shots, but yeah, I just thought he'd be like when people call
He
him like Rudy
disappears.
Gobert and everything. Like, I don't think we're even in the ballpark there.
I've told you, lankier DeAndre Jordan is what I think is the more realistic with Rudy Gobert hands.
I want to look up DeAndre Jordan. So he was 6.8 block percentage, which is good. It's not like anything incredible.
While you do your research, what's your
okay,
thoughts on me saying Kalkbrenner's the best drop coverage big in this?
Oh, they don't have it. Dang. Kalkbrenner being the best drop coverage big. Probably. Yeah.
And I don't think people realize how translatable day one that skill is, being a drop big.
Probably.
No.
He's always been an awesome rim protector. Like that was the first thing that he really did in college. Yeah.
So, what do you think of this kind of list right here? So, man, I might.
Do you think Sorber over Berenger?
No, I was literally about to change that, and I was even going to put Newell in front of there. So, no offense to Sorber, I think Sorber's great and stuff. He's got a 7'7" wingspan, but he's 6'9", like barefoot. I think 6'10" in shoes.
He was plus 8.75, I think.
Yeah, and Berenger's got the hops.
Yeah. Well, in Berenger, like the movement, like rim protection isn't just blocking shots; it's affecting shots. It's like just covering the basket in general.
Yeah, Newell is another guy that I think is also just moves well. He knows how to contest shots and use his verticality to move and just kind of readjust to get the block shots, and that's really why I think his mobility there is a huge one. I think Sorber, his mobility hurts him as a rim protector. I think he's actually kind of more of a drop big than of like a traditional SWAT shotter or a shot swatter.
But drop big doesn't mean drop big. The purpose of a drop big is to protect the rim.
No, 100%. What I mean is think drop big. Like Kalkbrenner is more of your Brook Lopez drop big, if that makes sense, where I think Brook Lopez is the best at dropping and still getting the blocks.
You're talking more as somebody that just kind of holds their size rather than goes for blocks.
Kalkbrenner, will get blocks similar to Brook Lopez.
Kalkbrenner is going to block shots. Yeah,
he's going to block shots, but they also do a good job of dropping, getting into position, and holding their size and making sure that the rim, whoever's attacking the rim, is going to have to basically avert them in some sort of capacity, and that is either going to allow them to just use their verticality to just make it a good contest without fouling, or an easy just block. And another guy who was like that was Neemias Queta coming out of college.
Yeah.
And I think Kalkbrenner,
he was a lot bigger.
But I think Kalkbrenner out of the guys. And my thing with Kalkbrenner, why I have him too, out of all of them, the guys behind him, he's the one that I feel behind Mowatch is most likely to be able to get drafted by a team, and day one his rim protecting skills will translate.
That's like the big skill for him for sure. Yeah, you're expecting him to rim protect.
What do you think of Sean?
Berenger, that's his biggest skill, is what people are hoping for.
Yeah,
rim protection, ground coverage.
Sorber, Fleming, Zerkarski, Momo Fay. Dude, Momo Fay, I saw him last week in Italy, bro. The kid moves he probably, when you watch European stuff, or you watch these tournaments and you look at somebody, you're like, that looks like the NBA. There's always, at least there's camps, a lot of the guys don't look like NBA athletes, and then there's the ones that do look like NBA athletes or pro athletes. Momo Fay developed, moved well, kind of and it wasn't like a Khalif drop type movement. No, this guy's 6'9", more just muscular, compact but long, kind of going in the Mohamedou Gueye, not the Momo Gay, not Mo Gay, but Mohamedou Gueye kind of mold, maybe less lankier. I actually really like him. Vlad Golden's another one, but what do you think of the next Newell, Jean, Sorber, Fleming, Zerkarski, Fay, Golden as the round out the latter half?
Asa is a rim protector. I think he should certainly bring some of that, and is a very good athlete. I don't see huge issues. I'm almost wondering Zerkarski, just based on him being enormous and that problem.
He regressed
on skill. Yeah. But it's as a rim protector, that's kind of what you're relying on him as. Yeah,
would you have Rasheer?
I probably have Zerkarski over him just in that skill set.
What about over Sorber?
Probably not. Yeah.
Vlad Golden, Momo Fay. You like those at the bottom too, or would you have two other guys like Yannick Conan Niederhauser?
On just that skill alone, probably Conan Niederhauser, yeah.
Over a Golden?
Yeah.
Any other bigs you think we need to keep? Like who's one that I'm surprised not getting hype? Cedric from Portsmouth. Keenan.
Who?
Cedric from College.
Oh, Caden Shedrick. Oh, yeah.
Shedrick. Caden Shedrick.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I said Cedric. Caden Shedrick.
Yeah.
He coming out of dude.
I'm wondering if he's gonna get drafted. So yeah.
Do you think or no?
Probably not.
I know, but what? He was 7'1" with a 7'5" wingspan.
I think you're being very generous with.
He measured. He was one of the at Portsmouth. He was one of the only 7-footers.
He had a long wingspan,
and he had the second or third largest wingspan at Portsmouth.
No, he was up there. Like the longest.
Also, I know his block numbers weren't great at college, but he is a Texas big, so they do a good job at getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, Caden Shedrick's like a name to mention as like an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Or I almost wonder if you take off Proctor and have Cooper play.
Do you think Sears is better than Proctor that much?
I don't know. I think they're pretty comparable. Call me crazy.
You're not crazy. All right, so right here we'll go with Cooper Flagg, Mark Sears, Colin Murray Boyles, Danny Wolf.
Well, there we go.
And I think Yagor, it's pretty self-explanatory if you guys have been paying attention, that he is the best passer. Kasparis, he's somebody that I think a lot of people, you can play on or off ball.
Kasparis over Dylan?
No.
Yeah.
Dude, I might even have Nemhard over Kasparis. Nemhard's just such a good pure passer.
Yeah, he's freaking awesome.
I would not have Ben Seraph over Kasparis. I think Ben Seraph is like the poor man's version of Kasparis in a way. Both similar players, but I think Kasparis does everything better than Ben Seraph. Yeah. And the jump shot, I believe in the scoring ability and the creativity is way more there. I think Ben kind of reminds me, literally his favorite player of all time is Vasilija Micic, and I kind of agree. Like he's the taller Vazzy.
Yeah. Who is an amazing passer.
Oh, incredible passer. I don't think it's been ever like fully showcased at the NBA level, but just go search up his EuroLeague highlights and you'll see like,
he was crazy.
Yeah. Danny Wolf is the best passing big man.
Mm-hmm.
He can throw anything. I joke around and say he's the 7-foot Joe Ingles out there.
Mm-hmm.
Then Colin Murray Boyles, everybody's, the Draymond Green and everything
about him. Do you like CMB as a passer more than Derek Queen?
Yeah, 100%. The thing is, just out of pure passing, I'm saying Colin Murray Boyles, I think, sees the floor and is able to be a connective piece in terms of he's going to be a guy who will make the right reads, swing the ball consistently, and that's kind of what you want. In the similar vein of what we've seen guys like Grant Williams, Draymond Green. I mean, even for the Celtics this past year, I think like the Derek Whites of the world, that they're able to make those types of read. He's able to make those types of read. I think Derek Queen is a great passer from a big man standpoint. He's going to operate out, the elbow and the low post, running DHOs or kicking out, to the open shooter in the corner. But I don't think he's going to be a guy who is going to be able to, or he's going to be able to make the outlet pass. But I don't think he's not like insane creativity like Alperen Şengün. I think he's more of like a system type passer, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
It does, yeah. Yeah. Cooper Flagg, man.
Would you say Cooper's better than Derek and Colin Murray Boyles? Because I'd say they're all in the same tier.
I would, just because I think he's just going to have the ball that much more.
What about Danny Wolf and Ben Seraph and Kasparis?
I'd put him above Danny Wolf.
Because I don't think he's like a natural passer.
Yeah. No, because I agree, but I think
he's the right reads.
So good at it. Yeah, exactly.
He makes the right reads, and that's the whole thing. But I think Danny Wolf is naturally the better passer.
He's gonna keep getting better and better, and I think it'll get to the point where Cooper eventually just surpasses like all these guys is an assist guy at the very least. But yeah, I know passing is more than just assists, and also it's how you see the floor, how quick you make decisions.
Do you buy Derek Queen?
I think Cooper's been making some good decisions, man.
Do you buy Derek Queen
As a passer? Yeah, I think he's a really good passer.
But like, do you think it's how some people said, like, to compare him to other bigs, the Sabonis, the Derek Queens?
I think that's a little too much, but
I'm not Derek Queens up, the Alperen Şengüns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like a Jonas Valanciunas level passer.
Yeah, somewhere along those lines.
I think Jonas is an underrated passer, personally.
Yeah. Jonas is also enormous.
Yes. People don't realize how fucking big that guy is.
Yeah, he's really big.
Now, best
3-point shooters.
I think I'm right here. I did a good job of putting them in their order.
Yeah. You just here's where I'd probably have Kobe Bryant a little lower. Like, I just think on volume, I just don't know how much Kobe's going to play compared to these other guys.
But as a shooter, as a pure shooter,
you're just talking about as a pure shooter?
As a pure shooter.
And when you have Kobe, like, might be the purest because of the percentage. I don't know.
I don't know. We both know Chaz Lanier is the best shooter in this draft class.
Yeah. I don't think there's a chance he is. No.
Chaz?
But, no, I think Chaz, just from college shooting standpoint, yeah.
I think just from, like, if you're looking at prospects,
I think Con and Trey are just going to take a lot of shots, man. And to me, like, how much do you want a guy? Like, I get the percentages and everything like that, but to me, at the end of the day, it's
okay. If we were putting all these guys
making a lot of threes on like a good percentage.
But like, I think if you look at this, Chaz, like, who we're better.
That has to play a part in it as well, Cyro.
Yes, I agree. But who
the
do
amount
you think?
The amount of threes they take.
Who do you think is going to be the most translatable shooters?
I'd say Trey and Colin probably. Yeah.
Colin.
Oh.
Nipple. Yeah. Well, I still think Cedric and Chaz are like.
I even have Liam McNeely just because I think he's just going to take more shots. Yeah. I
do think Chaz and Cedric just as pure shooters, and if they do get volume, they are better shooters. Like.
Yeah. No, but like, at the end of the day, like, it's going to be really interesting because as great as Chaz shot last year, like, the NBA is a totally different ball game. Yeah, I like with Kobe Bryant, that's the skill he's going to bring to an NBA team. You just wonder how many minutes he's actually going to be able to,
Do you agree with this then? I put Walter as like the 10th, Brea as 9.
Yeah.
Because I'm just putting Brea because he is a better shooter, but Walter's probably definitely going to get more. Coop's a good shooter.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Brea and Clayton have higher percentages than Cooper Flag, but Cooper Flag is take more shots.
I think would you agree with my sentiment though that Brea out of all the likely second round picks is probably going to be the best shooter?
Percentage wise, probably. Yeah.
Or like
the guy's a shooter.
Not just that, but he could be drafted to a team that needs shooting and ends up playing more minutes than you and I expect, because even though I
just wonder if he hits that athleticism threshold. That's the part I'm worried about.
If he's able to show that he can either shoot well enough to stay on the floor or move well enough to stay on the floor.
The defense, the D part is going to be really important there. Like,
but you agree that I didn't mean to cut you off right there, but what I was going to say is, did you agree? Oh, well, not agreed. Would you agree in this situation was where like he's the type of guy where his shooting could be so good that it leads him to get the opportunities, unlike other potential 3-point marksmen in the second round?
It's certainly possible. Yeah, well, just based on how well he shot through his college career.
Riley Minex or Kobe Bryant?
As a shooter?
Just as a prospect.
Oh, as a prospect, I guess Brea shot out of his mind, dude. Like that's the thing. Like he does have like a really nice resume as far as just from the aspect of being a shooter.
Well, yeah, the reason I brought that up is because of the fact that Minix was on a two-way.
Armins. Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, oh, if that's the case, maybe, you just take a flyer.
But yeah, like you're drafting Kobe Bryant to be a shooter. Yeah.
And there's teams that the Orlando Magic couldn't end up utilizing him. You wouldn't have thought Jalen Wells would have played all the minutes that he did. Granted, Jalen Wells is incredible.
But he also played the minutes that he did. I partly injuries, right? And then partly because of his defense, like a large part because of his defense as well. Yeah. No, doesn't look bad.
So the way I'll look at it,
you got Flag, you got CMB.
The two best defenders, clearly. Then the third best guy. So you got yourself Cooper Flag, heralded as like the Andre Karolinko, whatever you want to say. A guy's going to guard 1 through 5, has the work ethic, has the motor to do what you want, and to be a guy who can protect inside and out. And then you have, my apology, Colin Murray-Boyles is the second guy on this list. Colin Murray-Boyles being the one right here as it just disappears. Oh, wait, no. I messed up.
Did you?
Yep. There we go.
Yep.
Colin Murray-Boyles. Everybody's comparing him to the Draymond Green archetype. But really, he's a guy who's the quintessential defensive piece you want to see at the 4, maybe a little undersized, but has that length to, contest shots, the athleticism, and even the advanced metrics show that he could be an impact player on the defensive side. And he's just really smart on how he approaches it, either by his rotations, help D, and even how he keeps his man in front of him. VJ, arguably the best perimeter defender at the guard position, and just a pest nonstop as soon as you cross the half court. Will just use his athleticism and his length to his advantage. Come on and watch an athletic, shot swatter. Drake Powell, another athletic wing who has kind of like Patrick Williams-esque, like, I guess you could say, not Patrick Williams, but my apology. Carter Bryant's to Patrick Williams, but Drake Powell was, who did you say earlier we were talking about Drake Powell? You compared him to somebody.
Did I? I honestly don't remember.
Either way, Drake Powell, the athleticism jump out. Carter Bryant, kind of like a Patrick Williams. Noah Penda, winning basketball player. What are your thoughts on these guys? Who would you move around?
Nothing huge comes to mind. I'd probably have Kalkbrenner over Sorber. And yeah, probably have Sorber 10th. Yeah.
What's your why we move?
Well, Kalkbrenner, I think, as we've seen, he's set to be a really good rim protector, and just through his time in college, I trust that, that's kind of what he's bringing to the table. Tiara, I just think is so athletic, and has kind of more of the versatility that I would hope for in a defender at the NBA level. Sorber, I'm kind of wondering just how it translates, moving up, more so than a dude Thier.
I think he is, like I wrote there, a good positional defender. He uses 7'7" wingspan. He makes the right read. He isn't super slow on the feet, as people suggest. I think he's a guy who does a good job of not fouling. I think he's one of the better bigs defensively. Now the concern is, I don't think he'll accumulate stats, or it'll be things that'll show up in the stat sheet. I think his thing is contesting shots, rotating, making basically the right read so that or an offensive player, when they see him, they kick the ball out. They are intimidated. And I think that's more of his defensive style than where you have in a Drake Powell or a VJ Edgecombe where they're just going to be dogs, like just guys who are just going to be bloodhounds and just keep pesking at you nonstop. I think Sorbo, no, it's not that he's passive, but he's more, just like reading, reacting.
Mm-hmm.
While Thiero's just an explosive freak athletically. Like you might do a move and he might bite, but he's so athletic that he's just going to catch up and get back right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Kalkbrenner, we've talked about his ability to contest, arguably the best drop coverage big in this draft class. Regardless if he blocks your shot or not, he's going to contest it without fouling using verticality. Noah Penda's thick. I think we can move him a little lower, but
probably.
But when you're playing winning,
he's really strong. He moves well. He tries hard
and plays winning basketball in a French league.
Yeah.
Now, the last one right here, best offensive players.
Straight up offensive players.
Gotcha. Oh, well, do you have anything else you want to say on the defensive? I thought we move on.
No,
pretty straightforward.
I was just saying straight up offensive players for the last ranking. That's all I said. Yeah.
So Cooper Flagg, Trey Johnson, Ace Bailey. I'll go Derek Queen, Con Knipple, Jace Richardson, Walt Clayton, Cedric Howard, and then I threw Dink Pate in there.
You threw Dink Pate in there.
I didn't know.
Give me the rationale behind that one.
He is a guy.
Do you believe in him that much? Yeah.
No. It was either Dink Pate or Bugalajib Markovic.
Oh, you love Bogey, bro. You just think he's gonna be that lights out, huh?
Bro, if he pans out, I will never let you live the rest of your life about if Boogie becomes as good as I hope. I'm just gonna be like, you remember when I hit on Bogey? Remember when I hit on Bogey?
Yeah, and what happens if he doesn't?
We just won't bring it up.
Yeah, okay. I probably wouldn't bring it up too much.
I wouldn't bring it up either.
Yeah. Now, I think we have Cooper number 1 there, correct?
Yeah. That's self-explanatory.
Number 2.
Dog.
Yeah.
Left-handed Kate Cunningham.
Those guys. Trey Johnson, you just think is going to be that level of shooter and scorer?
I think in the worst case scenario, he's a perennial 6-man where his floor is being a really good 6-man. And I think that makes you one of the better offensive players.
I guess. What do you think Ace Bailey's floor is at?
I think it is a little bit questionable in the sense that, yes, I agree that he does kind of have that Brandon Miller type game to him, but and I'm not saying he's Wes Johnson or Wesley Johnson. Okay, that's preposterous.
You can have Aces 6'8". Yeah, you don't have to give those guys the extra boost and then throw Ace down there. Yeah, and Con, you can have as the magical 6'6", sir. I don't think. Yeah. Con was, I think, straight up 6'5" without shoes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. So, what do you think? I don't know.
I'd have Con over Derek. I know you moved Derek immediately, but yeah, I just think Con's 3-point shooting is gonna really boost that up.
You know the white DeAndre Hunter.
That's what you said. DeAndre Hunter had a 7'2" wingspan, bro.
The offensive white.
There's a difference.
What do you think of this latter half?
What
is Ace's floor? What is Ace's floor? I can't even.
Is Ace's floor? I'd say rotation piece. Yeah, I guess. If you think Trey's a 6-man,
Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, somewhere around there, probably.
Harrison
Barnes would be wouldn't be the worst case scenario for.
A little bit a gunslinging Harrison Barnes.
Yeah. More gunslinging. Yeah,
more gunslinging. Yeah. Harrison Barnes should have been a gunslinger.
Yeah.
So we were replacing Dean Pate with. You want John Tunje? You want Don Tunje?
John Tunje.
John Tunje?
As a straight up offensive player.
Yeah, or Chaz Lanier.
Tell me the rationale behind Dink as being the 10th best.
Dink Pate?
Yeah.
He was always heralded first off as like a point guard who's 6'8".
But beyond, like you keep saying heralded and everything like that.
What
Like,
can I?
why do you think he is actually?
Can I get? Okay, so
no, okay, yeah, sorry, continue.
So per 36, I know it's like not the greatest. It's 13.5 points per game, but he's a guy who took what at the G League Ignite he was putting up 9.5 2-pointers a game, four threes this year, 5 threes, 8.5 2-pointers, and he's also someone who I think at 6'8" with a 3-point rate of 45% of his shots. He hunts for his own shot, and that's the biggest thing. Even though it's not going in, out of everybody else in this draft class,
it went down again. By
I know. Yeah. I'm adjusting it, but out of everybody else in this draft class, there is all other 9 guys.
An easy guy you forgot.
Yeah, put it right there. I'm probably forgetting somebody.
Well, Jeremiah Fears.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There you go. Would you agree that Dink Pate's probably 11th in terms of like guys hunting for their shots? Kasparis.
Oh, guys look for their shots. But now what are we classifying as an offensive player then?
No, you're right. Wait, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Because that would have been best scores.
Are you looking at like best ISO players?
No, you're right. I started getting caught up on like. So then, should this be Kasparis or Jeremiah?
Casper should 100% be in here.
Yeah, so this is Kasparis.
But do you think Jeremiah over some of these other guys then? Like over like Walter? Yeah,
I would do. Yeah, I think.
I mean, Walter. Like Walter's ability to. Man, Jace is a really good shooter. I almost wonder about him.
So this is where we go. Do we keep Cedric, by the way? Do we keep Cedric?
I'm gonna roll with us being a Cedric Howard show.
Okay. We're pro Cedric Howard.
Yeah. Very pro Cedric.
Very pro Cedric. Cedric for president one day.
We'll see about that.
So we have ourselves Jeremiah Fears. I think Kasparis, I'm going to put over Jeremiah just because of.
Yeah. He has to be. I think the reason you're drafting like a Kasparis or Jeremiah Fears top 10 is because of their ability as offensive players.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, Jace, do we go Jace or Walter? I feel like if you take out Jace, you're going Walter then, right?
If we keep out Jace, I was thinking Walter possibly over Jace. Yeah.
Just because of the shot creation, the poise and the ability.
I mean, like he was Florida's offense.
Yeah, and the way he's grown since Iona.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was really good at Iona too.
But what I'm saying is how much he's grown as a playmaker since Iona.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True.
Cedric or Liam McNeely?
I'll go Cedric.
I'll go Cedric. Okay, same. All right. Yeah, I think that's basically. I feel good on that one.
Queen versus Kasparis. What are your thoughts?
I'm bigger on Kasparis just because I think your guard can impact your.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I also
like the Wizards people who want Queen over Kasparis. How does it look having Queen as a better offensive player if you're taking Kasparis?
Oh, dude, and I look. I only think, this is me growing up as a Wizards fan and stuff. So, a part of me wants Queen because it's the local kid, and I think a lot of people are getting wrapped up on the local kid. But also a lot of people.
I'm only talking about even here, like just in best offensive player. Like,
dude, I would rather have Kasparis because I was a guy who wanted the Wizards to draft Tyrese. I wanted the Wizards to draft Tyrese at 9 or 8, whatever it was that year. Like in mocks, you can go back to my mocks. I literally had I had Tyrese either being drafted by the Wizards or the Hawks because I kept saying with the Hawks. I was like, dude, imagine him next to Trae Young. You can go to my mocks. Everyone was saying, I was like, literally the Hawks should either draft Onyeka Okongwu or Tyrese Halliburton because I was like, imagine having a 6'6" playmaker next to Trae Young. I was like, that would have been so sick. And then I was like, the only one that makes sense is Onyeka. And then for the Wizards, I was like, we need a point.
So you were a Denny hater.
No, I love Denny. I wanted the Wizards to draft Denny or Tyrese, and And that in my mocks, if you look at it, I was a Tyrese believer. If you look at all my mocks, I was a huge Tyrese guy.
Oh yeah.
Like Big 12
I believe
basketball. Coming out of Iowa State. Fuck you. But but the whole thing is that I wanted to get at was.
So what are we doing here? What's the Queen versus Jakob Jonas? Yeah.
Jack Jonas. You don't pass up a guard who can create like that, especially.
I'm with you.
Queen's also a lot smaller in person than I was expecting.
For a guy, I know you have him as your best combo big. I think he's probably going to have to play center.
Yeah. So where can the people find you, Mikey?
At NBA Draft Mikey V on X/Twitter/ whatever you want to call it. And my name is Michael Visenberg. It is very easy to look up if you would like to talk basketball with me. And once again, Cyro, thanks for having me on.
Of course, as always, links in the description for all of his things. Cheers.
No.
All right, so I'll tell you the story now, just about the
now that you're recording.
Yes, because I do want to keep this in the full thing. So I'm walking back. I did a 2-mile walk with Nick, and Nikki and I are about to make the final stretch. And you know, when in Florida, instead of squirrels, you have a bunch of iguanas. The iguana scurries away, and typically when they're small, they go through fences. This one goes through the fence. All right, but I guess a piece of the fence was sticking out, and it impales itself, and it keeps trying to get through. I see it get one arm stuck. It gets the other one's it's flailing and stuff, and then it stopped moving. Okay, and he got halfway through, and we thought it stopped moving because it was playing possum, but we walked maybe another 500-600 feet, kept looking back. Buddy was not playing possum.
That's not a great story. That's the saddest story.
It's pretty traumatizing. Thank God I ate right before it, so appetite was not squandered.
Iguana didn't make you lose your freaking lunch and your hunger.
It was pretty
traumatizing. At least it didn't affect my day that much to see this iguana do this.
Was it quite horrendous? Yes, I would say
it sounded like it.
It
sounded
was
not great.
Yeah, it was as bad as
if I had seen a squirrel do that out here, it would mess up my day. Yeah.
I think the squirrel would have started shrieking. Thankfully, iguanas don't really make sounds.
Yeah.
Have you ever? No, we're just not even gonna go there. But animals dying and shrieking, some of the saddest things ever.
Yeah.
As I laugh through it, because this is not a happy laugh.
You gotta laugh to stop from crying, man. You gotta laugh to stop from crying.
Yeah. I may or may not keep that in, depending how funny I feel this.
It's not that funny. It's just funny at how unfunny it is. Oh, jeez.
That's kind of funny. It's the Amish guy in Sex Drive, played by Seth Green.
You mentioned that movie way too much.
It's a top 20 comedy movie potentially of all time.
Go away.
Right.
Was the Phoenician Scheme the funniest Wes Anderson movie ever? Because I saw that in one of the taglines. They said that it was.
Yeah, because I feel like Wes Anderson's movies aren't on the nose funny like this one was at times.
Gotcha.
There were legit scenes where you're okay, this is being over the top for the sake of comedic effect. You know, there was a lot of things that were irrationally funny because it was clearly done for comedic effect. And a lot of it also, if you're a history buff like you and I are, and a lot of it is Balkan reference. All right. So we're talking referring to, how people used to manipulate stocks and how, rich people at the time, if you read through history, would kind of collude with one another to control prices for things like rivets or even smaller minuscule things made like pantyhoses and become magnets in like third world countries. And it's kind of like showing the exploitation of how like it's based on a true story, like some like on a true person, Klaus Gulbenkian, and which took place in like Azerbaijan.
Can you say that name again? I missed it.
Klaus Gulbenkian, Gulbenkian. I don't know.
The second time.
It's probably not at all.
What was Howard Hughes' plane called?
The Spruce Goose.
Yes. Okay. The other day you called it the Mr. Burns one.
I know, because it was right
awesome.
there. It was right there. That was good. That was
Smithers. Oh my god.
All right. So guys, I just lost the light right there. I don't know if you just saw that, or you definitely heard it.
I saw your chair. Yeah.
I hit this, and I guess it wasn't fully intact.
Well, you can fix it.
Yeah, I'm fixing it right now. Well, we're gonna edit this, and we'll start
help.
Clearly.
Yeah. It's fine.
Oh man, that just made me laugh.
Dude, why was my voice off the last time? It was just the editing.
So editing. Okay, so I think because I recorded in the airport and I lagged a few times.
Got you. Okay, that could be.
But if you notice, it's fine until like 20 minutes into the video.
Yeah. No, that was the confusing part. Yeah.
Because I asked somebody, I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, Someone commented, they're like, I think they said at some point, I think 30 minutes.
No, I went to that point and I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, and then I was like, holy shit! Like I saw, and I think at one point when my Wi-Fi cuts out, I think this streaming thing never caught back in, and I was traveling, so like I did the lazy editing where I just went through the first 10-15 minutes of the video and then just skipped at some other point. All looked Gucci on the plane, and I just uploaded. I mean, it still has like 5,000 views, so like it's still like well, like logged. But all right, so we're gonna start this off.
Oh, good. Cool.
3, 2, 1.